First contact and looming threat. The vast expanse of space had always called to humanity, a siren song of endless possibilities. But on that fateful day in 2157, as the first human deep space expedition ship Horizon breached the heliopause, no one could have predicted the monumental shift in human history that was about to unfold. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Horizon, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling colors of the nebula before them. The ship's sensors pinged, alerting the crew to an anomaly straight ahead. "What do we have, Dr. Chen?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Dr. Akira Chen, the ship's lead scientist, furrowed his brow as he studied the readouts. It's a ship, Captain, but like nothing we've ever seen before." The bridge fell silent as a massive vessel emerged from the nebula. Its sleek, otherworldly design left no doubt. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. "Open a channel," Elena ordered, her heart racing. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth ship Horizon. We come in peace and seek peaceful communication." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then, a series of clicks and whistles filled the air, followed by a deep, resonant voice that seemed to bypass their communication systems and speak directly into their minds. "Greetings, humans. We are the Zarkan. Your presence here is unexpected." Over the next few hours, the crew of the Horizon engaged in first contact with the Zarkan. The aliens were tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. They explained that they were part of a vast galactic community, one that humanity had been blissfully unaware of until now. As the initial excitement of first contact wore off, Elena sensed an undercurrent of tension in the Zarkan's demeanor. It was Dr. Chen who finally broached the subject. "Is there something wrong?" he asked. "You seem troubled by our presence here." The Zarkan representative, who had introduced himself as Hazalthor, hesitated before responding. "Your arrival is poorly timed. The galaxy is on the brink of war." Elena leaned forward, her expression grave. "War? With whom?" "The Krell Empire," Hazalthor replied, a shudder passing through his slender frame. "They are a warlike species, intent on dominating all sentient life in the galaxy. They have already subjugated dozens of worlds, and now they set their sights on this sector." The implications hit Elena like a punch to the gut. Humanity had barely taken its first steps into interstellar space, and already they were facing an existential threat. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zalthor's multifaceted eyes seemed to dim. "I fear there is little you can do. The Krell's technology far surpasses your own. They will see your world as easy prey." But as Halthor spoke, Elena felt a familiar fire ignite within her. It was the same determination that had driven humanity to explore the stars in the first place. She exchanged glances with her crew, seeing the same resolve mirrored in their eyes. "We may be new to the galactic stage," Elena said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "But humanity has faced overwhelming odds before. We will not go quietly into the night." The journey back to Earth was tense, filled with frantic preparations and hurried explanations to a stunned global leadership. The news of alien life and the impending threat spread like wildfire across the planet. In the months that followed, humanity underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. The greatest minds on Earth worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of science and technology in a desperate race against time. Dr. Chen led a team of scientists in analyzing the data shared by the Zarkan, searching for any weakness in the Krell's seemingly impenetrable defenses. Meanwhile, military strategists pored over historical battles, looking for inspiration in humanity's own past conflicts. As the first reports of Krell ships entering the solar system reached Earth, Elena found herself standing before the United Earth Council, representing the men and women who had made first contact. "We cannot match the Krell in technology or numbers," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. But we have something they don't expect. The indomitable human spirit. We've faced extinction before, from ice ages to plagues to our own destructive tendencies. Each time, we've emerged stronger. She paused, looking each council member in the eye. The Krell think we'll be easy prey. Let's show them how wrong they are. As Elena finished speaking, alarms blared throughout the complex. On screens around the room, menacing shapes appeared in Earth's orbit. The Krell invasion fleet had arrived. Humanity's greatest challenge had begun. But as fear gripped the hearts of billions, a spark of defiance burned bright. The human race would not go gentle into that good night. They would rage against the dying of the light. And in that moment of crisis, as an alien armada darkened the skies, humanity stood united as never before, ready to fight for their very existence. Humanity's secret weapon. In the weeks following the Krell's arrival, Earth became a hive of feverish activity. The initial panic had given way to a grim determination as humanity rallied to face the existential threat looming above them. Dr. Akira Chen hunched over his workstation in the hastily assembled Global Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, but a manic energy drove him forward. He had been poring over the Zarkin data for weeks, searching for any advantage against the technologically superior Krell. "Dr. Chen," a voice called out, startling him from his focus. It was Captain Elena Rodriguez, looking as exhausted as he felt. "Any progress?" Akira rubbed his eyes, trying to organize his thoughts. "Maybe. I've been analyzing the Krell ship designs, and I think I've found something." He pulled up a holographic display, showing the intricate schematics of a Krell battlecruiser. "See this?" He pointed to a pulsing node near the ship's core. "It's their primary power source. It's incredibly efficient, allowing them to generate massive amounts of energy for their weapons and shields." Elena leaned in, her brow furrowed. "Can we disable it?" Akira shook his head. "Not directly. It's too well protected." But he trailed off, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "I think we might be able to overload it." He quickly explained his theory. The Krell power source operated on principles similar to quantum entanglement, but on a massive scale. If they could introduce a carefully calibrated electromagnetic pulse at just the right frequency, they might be able to disrupt the delicate balance of the system, causing a cascade failure. "It's a long shot," Akira admitted. "But if it works, we could potentially disable their ships without having to break through their shields." Elena's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. This could change everything. "How soon can we test it?" "That's the problem," Akira sighed. "We don't have anything powerful enough to generate the kind of pulse we'd need. At least, not yet." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the facility. Elena's comm device chirped urgently. "Rodriguez here," she answered. "Captain, we need you in the war room immediately," came the terse reply. "The Krell have begun their ground invasion." Elena and Akira exchanged grim looks before rushing to the war room. The scene that greeted them was one of controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed battles raging across the globe as Krell dropships descended on major cities. General Weizong, the head of Earth's unified defense forces, stood at the center of the storm, barking orders and coordinating the global response. He acknowledged Elena and Akira with a curt nod as they entered. "The Krell are pushing hard," Wei explained, his voice tight with tension. "Our conventional weapons are barely slowing them down. We need a game changer, and we need it now." Akira stepped forward, quickly outlining his theory about the Krell power source. Wei listened intently, hope and skepticism warring on his face. "It's a promising idea, Dr. Chen," Wei said finally. "But without a way to generate that pulse, it's just theory. And theory won't stop the Krell from overrunning our cities." As the group debated potential solutions, a young lieutenant burst into the room, her face flushed with excitement. "Sirs, you need to see this." She pulled up a video feed on the main display. It showed a battlefield in what used to be downtown Los Angeles. Krell soldiers, encased in sleek battle armor, were advancing relentlessly. But then something extraordinary happened. A group of humans, wearing cobbled-together exoskeletons that looked like something out of a science fiction movie, charged into the fray. They moved with incredible speed and agility, their makeshift weapons somehow penetrating the Krell armor. "What are we looking at?" Elena asked, her voice filled with awe. The lieutenant could barely contain her excitement. "It's a civilian resistance group, sir. They've been experimenting with reverse-engineered Krell tech. They call themselves the Scrappers." As they watched, one of the Scrappers activated a device on their arm. A pulse of energy erupted from it, and nearby Krell soldiers suddenly stumbled, their weapons and armor seemingly malfunctioning. Akira's eyes widened in realization. "That's it. That's the pulse we need, just on a much larger scale." The room erupted into a flurry of activity. Wei immediately ordered contact to be established with the Scrappers, while Akira and his team began analyzing the footage to understand how the pulse device worked. Over the next few days, as battles raged across the globe, a plan began to take shape. The Scrappers' technology, combined with Akira's theories and the full resources of Earth's scientific community, held the key to creating a weapon that could turn the tide against the Krell. Elena found herself working closely with Jax, the leader of the Scrappers. He was a former engineer with a knack for improvisation and a fierce determination to protect his home. "We've been hit hard," Jax explained as they worked on upscaling the pulse device. "But we refuse to give up. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt, to take the impossible and make it possible." As they worked, reports came in from around the world. The Krell were advancing, but they were meeting fiercer resistance than they had anticipated. Humanity, with its back against the wall, was fighting with everything it had. In India, engineers had repurposed old electromagnetic rail gun prototypes into devastating anti-Krell weapons. In Brazil, guerrilla fighters were using the dense jungle to their advantage, employing hit-and-run tactics that frustrated the Krell's superior technology. Each small victory, each moment of defiance, fueled the global effort. Humanity was bloodied but unbowed, their indomitable spirit shining brighter in the face of overwhelming odds. Finally, after days of non-stop work, Akira and Jax emerged from the lab, their faces etched with exhaustion, but their eyes bright with triumph. "We've done it," Akira announced to the waiting War Council. "We've created a prototype of what we're calling the pulse cannon. If our calculations are correct, it should be capable of disabling Krell ships in orbit." A murmur of excitement ran through the room. Elena stepped forward, her voice filled with determination. "Then it's time we take the fight to them. It's time we show the Krell that humanity is not to be underestimated." As the council began planning their counteroffensive, Elena looked around the room. She saw faces etched with determination, eyes burning with the will to survive. In that moment, she knew that no matter what the Krell threw at them, humanity would face it head-on. The tide was about to turn. Humanity's secret weapon was ready, forged in the crucible of invasion, a testament to human ingenuity and the unbreakable spirit of a species fighting for its very existence. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and this time, Earth would not be on the defensive. It was time for humanity to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Alliance building and preparation. As news of the pulse cannon spread, a renewed sense of hope swept across the embattled Earth. For the first time since the Krell invasion began, humanity had a fighting chance. But Captain Elena Rodriguez knew that a single weapon, no matter how powerful, wouldn't be enough to turn the tide of the war. They needed allies. Elena stood before the United Earth Council, her posture rigid with determination. "The pulse cannon gives us a chance, but we can't win this war alone. We need to reach out to other species in the galaxy, form alliances." General Wai Zong nodded in agreement. "The Zarkin warned us about the Krell. There must be others out there who fear them, who might be willing to stand with us. The council debated fiercely. Some argued that revealing Earth's location to more alien species was too risky. Others insisted that without help, Earth would eventually fall, no matter how bravely they fought. In the end, Alina's impassioned plea won out. "We've always dreamed of reaching the stars," she said, her voice ringing through the chamber. "Now the stars have come to us. It's time we take our place in the galactic community." With the Council's blessing, a daring plan was put into motion. While Earth's defenders continued to hold the line against the Krell, a diplomatic mission would venture into deep space, seeking allies in humanity's desperate fight for survival. Alina found herself in command of the Horizon once more, this time refitted with reverse-engineered Krell technology and a prototype of the pulse cannon. Dr. Akira Chen joined her as the scientific liaison, along with a hand-picked crew of Earth's finest. As the Horizon prepared to depart, Jax approached Alina, his face set with determination. "I'm coming with you," he said, not a request but a statement of fact. Alina raised an eyebrow. "We're not exactly looking for more soldiers on this mission, Jax." The scrapper leader grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. "You're not taking me as a soldier. You're taking me as an engineer. No one knows jury-rigged alien tech better than the scrappers. You'll need that knowledge out there." Recognizing the truth in his words, Alina welcomed him aboard. As the Horizon broke free of Earth's gravity well, the crew couldn't help but feel the weight of their mission. Behind them, their homeworld continued its desperate struggle. Ahead lay the unknown, filled with potential allies and enemies. Their first stop was the Zarkan homeworld. The willowy aliens were shocked to learn that humanity had not only survived the initial Krell assault, but had developed a weapon capable of challenging the invaders. Zolfor, the Zarkan who had first contacted humanity, met with Alina and her team. "Your species continues to astonish us," he said, his multifaceted eyes gleaming with curiosity. "Perhaps we underestimated you." Alina saw an opening and pressed forward. "The Krell threaten all free species in the galaxy. Together, we might have a chance to stop them. Will the Zarkan stand with Earth?" After much deliberation, the Zarkan agreed to an alliance. Their advanced sensor technology would be invaluable in the fight against the Krell, complementing Earth's newfound offensive capabilities. Emboldened by this success, the Horizon continued its journey, following leads and rumors, seeking out any species with a grudge against the Krell Empire. They encountered the Volith, a species of silicon-based lifeforms whose crystalline cities had been shattered by Krell bombardment. The Volith were initially wary of the humans, but Jax's expertise with hybrid technology won them over. Soon, Volith energy crystals were being integrated into improved versions of the pulse cannon. On a distant jungle world, they met the Nyx, a race of nocturnal hunters with natural stealth capabilities that even Krell sensors struggled to detect. The Nyx had been fighting a guerrilla war against Krell occupation for years. They eagerly joined the growing alliance, offering their covert operations expertise. But it wasn't always easy. Some species, like the isolationist hegemony of Kor, refused to join the fight, believing they could weather the Krell storm alone. Others, like the Meridian Collective, were hesitant to trust a species as young and untested as humanity with leadership in a galactic war. Throughout their journey, the crew of the Horizon faced numerous challenges. They narrowly escaped a Krell patrol, relying on Akira's quick thinking and Jax's improvised tech to mask their ship's signature. They mediated a centuries-old dispute between two spacefaring species, convincing them to set aside their differences in the face of the greater Krell threat. With each challenge, the crew grew closer, their diverse skills and backgrounds blending into a formidable team. As weeks turned to months, news from Earth became increasingly dire. The Krell, realizing the threat posed by the pulse cannon, had intensified their attacks. Major cities lay in ruins, and millions of humans had been forced into underground shelters. But still, humanity fought on, their resolve unbroken. Elena felt the pressure mounting with each passing day. They needed more than just a coalition of the willing. They needed a game changer. That's when they received a transmission from a previously unknown species called the Arxer. The Arxer were a reclusive race of scientists and philosophers who had hidden their existence from the rest of the galaxy for millennia. They claimed to possess technology far beyond even the Krell's capabilities, but had chosen not to interfere in galactic affairs. Your struggle against the Krell has not gone unnoticed. The Arxer representative, a being of swirling energy contained within a humanoid form, told Elena. We have watched as you've united disparate species under a common cause. Perhaps it is time we too stepped out of the shadows. The Arxer offered to share some of their advanced technology with the Alliance, but on one condition. Humanity had to prove they were worthy of such power. They would subject the crew of the Horizon to a series of tests, challenges designed to probe the very nature of what it meant to be human. Elena and her crew debated long into the night. The Arxer technology could turn the tide of the war, but the tests sounded dangerous, possibly even lethal. In the end, they agreed. The fate of Earth, of the entire galaxy, was worth any risk. The trials pushed the humans to their limits and beyond. They faced simulations of impossible moral dilemmas, tests of intelligence that bent the very fabric of reality, and physical challenges that strained every fiber of their being. Through it all, they persevered, showcasing the very best of humanity. Their compassion, their ingenuity, their unwavering determination. In the final trial, Elena found herself alone in what seemed to be the void of space, with only a single button before her. A voice echoed in her mind. This button will destroy the entire Krell species, ending the war instantly. But it will also erase all knowledge and technology the Krell have accumulated over millennia. What do you choose? Elena's hand hovered over the button, the weight of galaxies on her shoulders. In that moment, she understood the true nature of the test. No, she said firmly. We fight to protect life, not to destroy it indiscriminately. The Krell have done terrible things, but genocide is never the answer. We'll find another way. As she spoke those words, the void dissolved around her. She found herself back on the Arxer homeworld, surrounded by her crew and the Arxer themselves. The energy being who had first greeted them stepped forward. You have passed our trials, it said, its voice resonating with approval. You've shown wisdom, courage, and an unyielding spirit. But most importantly, you've demonstrated that even in the darkest hour, you cling to your principles. The Arxer will join your alliance. With the Arxer's advanced technology and the united front of multiple species, the tide of the war began to turn. The Horizon raced back to Earth, carrying with it the hope of a galaxy united against tyranny. As they approached their home system, Elena gathered her crew on the bridge. When we left Earth, we were alone and outgunned, she said, looking each of them in the eye. We return with allies, advanced technology, and the knowledge that we are part of something greater than ourselves. The real battle begins now. The Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the blue marble of Earth coming into view, but they weren't alone. The vast armada of ships from a dozen different species filled the space around their homeworld, ready to stand with humanity against the Krell. As they made their final approach, a transmission came through from General Weizong on Earth. His face was haggard, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. Welcome home, Horizon, he said. You're just in time. The Krell are massing for what looks like a final assault. It's time to show them what a united galaxy can do. Elena nodded, her jaw set with resolve. Understood, General. The Alliance is ready. Let's end this war. As the crew of the Horizon prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, Elena felt a swell of pride. They had come so far, faced impossible odds, and emerged stronger. Whatever the Krell threw at them, they would face it together. The final confrontation was about to begin, and humanity would be at its forefront, leading a coalition of species in a fight for freedom. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see if this unlikely alliance could topple an empire and usher in a new era of peace. The great battle begins. The void of space erupted into a dazzling spectacle of light and fury as the united Galactic fleet engaged the Krell Armada. Earth's orbit became a battlefield unlike any humanity had ever witnessed, with ships of myriad designs clashing in a desperate struggle for survival. Aboard the Horizon, now serving as the command ship for the Alliance, Captain Elena Rodriguez barked orders, coordinating the diverse fleet with a steady hand. Dr. Akira Chen manned the science station, his fingers flying over holographic displays as he analyzed Krell defenses in real time. Jax, the former scrapper, had taken charge of a team of engineers, ready to implement split-second modifications to their weapons and defenses as the battle unfolded. Zarkin cruisers, form up on our port side, Elena commanded. Nyx stealth frigates, prepare for your attack run. Volith, stand by with your energy shields. The Alliance fleet moved with surprising cohesion, months of joint training paying off as they executed complex maneuvers. The Krell, for the first time, seemed caught off guard by the coordination of their opponents. But the Krell were not to be underestimated. Their massive dreadnoughts pushed forward, energy weapons lancing out to vaporize smaller Alliance ships. Swarms of Krell fighters darted between capital ships, their agility making them difficult targets. Pulse cannons charged and ready, Akira reported, his voice tense but controlled. Elena nodded grimly. All ships with pulse cannon capability, fire on my mark. She paused, watching as the Krell fleet consolidated, presenting a tempting target. Mark. A ripple of energy surged forth from the Alliance fleet. The space between the armadas seemed to warp for a moment before the pulse slammed into the Krell ships. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, Krell vessels began to lose power, their lights flickering and engines sputtering. A cheer went up across the Alliance comms, but Elena knew better than to celebrate too soon. Press the advantage, she ordered. All ships, engage. The battle raged on, a cosmic dance of destruction and valor. Volith crystals powered shield generators that shrugged off Krell energy weapons. Nyx stealth ships appeared seemingly out of nowhere, striking at the hearts of Krell command ships before vanishing again. Earth vessels, though less advanced, fought with a ferocity that impressed even their alien allies. But the Krell were not beaten yet. As the battle wore on, they began to adapt. Some of their ships now seemed resistant to the pulse cannon's effects. They changed tactics, using the disabled ships as cover, while their operational vessels struck from behind the improvised shield wall. They're learning, Akira said, frustration evident in his voice. The pulse cannon won't be enough. Elena gritted her teeth. They had known this might happen, but she had hoped for more time. Jax, it's time for Phase 2. Are you ready? The former scrapper grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. Born ready, Captain. Let's show these Krell what human ingenuity can do. While the pulse cannon had been their primary weapon, it wasn't their only trick. During their journey to unite the galaxy, Jax and his team had been working on something even more audacious. They called it the Nexus Array, a system that could temporarily link the computer systems of the entire Alliance fleet, allowing them to function as a single massive entity. All Alliance ships, this is Captain Rodriguez, Elena broadcast. Prepare to initiate Nexus Array protocols. Stand by for synaptic link. As Jax activated the Nexus Array, Elena felt a strange sensation wash over her. Suddenly, she wasn't just aware of the horizon, but of every ship in the Alliance fleet. She could feel the determination of the Zarkin captains, the cold fury of the Nyx hunters, the stoic resolve of the Volith crystalline minds. And binding them all together was the indomitable human spirit. Through this collective consciousness, the Alliance fleet began to move with impossible coordination. Ships maneuvered in perfect synchronicity, covering each other's blind spots and attacking with devastating precision. It was as if the entire fleet had become a single organism, adapting and reacting faster than any individual could. The Krell, for the first time since the war began, seemed truly shaken. Their rigid hierarchy and centralized command structure couldn't compete with the fluid, collective decision-making of the linked Alliance fleet. But victory was far from assured. The Krell still outnumbered them, and their technical superiority meant that even with the Nexus array, the Alliance was fighting an uphill battle. The space around Earth became a graveyard of broken ships and shattered dreams as both sides took heavy losses. As the battle reached its fever pitch, a massive Krell flagship emerged from hyperspace. It dwarfed even their largest dreadnoughts, bristling with weapons that could lay waste to entire continents. By the stars, Akira breathed, his face pale as he looked at the redouts. That ship, it's like nothing we've ever seen. Our weapons might not even scratch it. Elena felt a moment of despair threatening to overwhelm her. Had they come so far, united the galaxy, only to fall at the final hurdle? But then she felt it. Through the Nexus array, a surge of determination from every linked mind in the fleet, human and alien alike. They weren't ready to give up. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez to all Alliance ships," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "That Krell flagship is big, yes. It's powerful, yes. But size isn't everything. We've got something they don't: each other. Every species in this fleet has faced extinction and survived. We've all been underestimated, written off, told our time was over. And every single time, we've proved them wrong." She paused, feeling the ripple of her words through the collective consciousness of the fleet. "Today, we do it again. Not just for Earth, not just for our individual worlds, but for every free being in this galaxy. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts. Together, we are unstoppable." As Elena finished speaking, she felt a surge of unity and purpose flood through the Nexus array. The Alliance fleet began to move as one, converging on the Krell flagship like antibodies swarming a virus. The final phase of the battle had begun. In the next few moments, the fate of Earth, of the entire galaxy, would be decided. But as Elena looked out at the determination etched on every face around her, she knew one thing for certain: whatever happened next, humanity and their allies would face it together, turning the tide in aftermath. The void of space lit up with a fury unseen in galactic history as the United Alliance fleet converged on the massive Krell flagship. Through the Nexus array, Elena could feel the resolve of every ship, every individual in their armée. They moved not as separate entities, but as a single, unstoppable force of nature. Jax's voice cut through the din of battle. "Captain, I've got an idea. It's crazy, but it might just work." At this point, "Jax, I'm open to crazy," Elena replied, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. The former scrapper quickly outlined his plan. By reconfiguring the pulse cannon to work in reverse, they could create a localized field that would amplify the Krell's own energy weapons. If timed correctly, it could cause a catastrophic overload in the flagship's main gun. "Do it," Elena ordered without hesitation. As Jax and his team worked feverishly to modify the pulse cannon, the rest of the fleet engaged in a deadly dance with the Krell flagship. Nick's stealth ships darted in close, their pinpoint strikes searching for weak spots in the behemoth's armor. Volith cruisers formed a crystalline shield wall, absorbing punishing blows meant for their more vulnerable allies. Earth ships, piloted by humans who had honed their skills in months of desperate defense, executed maneuvers that would have been deemed impossible just a year ago. They wove between salvos of Krell fire, returning volleys with a precision that belied their technological disadvantage. Through it all, the Arxer vessels glided serenely, their advanced technology allowing them to predict and counter Krell strategies before they even fully formed. "Modification complete," Jax announced, his voice taut with tension. "But we'll only get one shot at this. We need to get close, real close." Elena nodded grimly. "All ships, this is Captain Rodriguez. Prepare for Operation Trojan Horse. I need volunteers for a one-way trip into the belly of the beast." She didn't have to wait long for responses. Ships from every species in the Alliance stepped forward, ready to sacrifice everything for a chance at victory. Arxer vessels, I need you to clear us a path, Elena commanded. Everyone else, give them hell. Keep the Krell's attention divided. The plan was set in motion with the cold precision of a well-oiled machine. The Arxer ships moved in perfect formation, their energy shields creating a corridor through the heart of the Krell fleet. Behind them, a mixed group of ships from every Alliance species formed up, with the horizon at their center. As they accelerated towards the Krell flagship, Elena felt a moment of profound clarity. In that instant, she saw the entire scope of their journey. From humanity's first trembling steps into the galactic community to this moment of unity in the face of annihilation. Whatever happened next, they had already achieved something remarkable. The Krell, realizing too late the threat approaching their flagship, turned their full fury on the Alliance strike team. Ships vanished in balls of fire, their crew's sacrifice etched into the void. But still, they pressed on. We're in position. Akira's voice was steady, despite the chaos around them. Ready on your command, Captain. Elena took a deep breath. Initiate reverse pulse on my mark. All ships, prepare to break off and retreat at full speed. She paused, her hand hovering over the control. Mark. The modified pulse cannon fired, its energy merging with the Krell flagship's weapon systems. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a cascade of overloads rippled across the massive ship. Explosions blossomed along its hull as system after system failed catastrophically. All ships, fall back now, Elena shouted. The surviving Alliance ships peeled away just as the Krell flagship's main gun suffered a fatal malfunction. The resulting explosion was blinding, even at a distance. When the light faded, where once had floated an instrument of galactic oppression, there was nothing but scattered debris. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, as if a spell had been broken, the remaining Krell ships began to retreat. Without their flagship, without their air of invincibility, the once mighty Armada crumbled. Cheers erupted across the Alliance fleet. Humans embraced their alien comrades, tears of joy and relief flowing freely. They had done it. Against all odds, they had prevailed. As the dust of battle settled, the true scope of what they had achieved began to sink in. The Krell Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, was in full retreat. But the cost had been high. Earth bore the scars of prolonged invasion, its cities in ruins, its population decimated. Other worlds in the Alliance had suffered similar fates. In the months and years that followed, a new galactic order began to take shape. The Alliance, forged in the crucible of war, became the foundation for a galactic federation. Earth, once a backwater world unknown to the broader galaxy, now stood as a symbol of unity and perseverance. Elena found herself at the forefront of this new era, helping to shape a future where cooperation and mutual understanding were valued above conquest and domination. The technology and knowledge shared between species during the war accelerated progress across all fields, ushering in an unprecedented age of discovery and innovation. As she stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, a massive space habitat that served as the headquarters for the new Galactic Federation, Elena reflected on the long journey that had brought them to this point. Beside her stood Akira, Jax, and representatives from every species in the Alliance. You know, Jax said, a hint of his